Welcome to the blood-soaked, demon-slaying medieval fever dream that is Doom: The Dark Ages. In this latest installment, the Doomslayer is back in time in a dark fantasy realm. It's a prequel, and the only thing more brutal than the enemies is your arsenal. I mean, that's not new, but neither is medieval times. In fact, it's quite old. Still, the things that we plan on talking about today, hidden mechanics that allow more chaos and carnage, are new. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 things we had no idea you could do in Doom: The Dark Ages. Starting off with number 10, have fun disarming demons. So shredding monsters, it's been a thing since Doom 2016, obviously. And specifically targeting body parts of monsters to destroy their weapons is also something that's been a staple of new Doom, with NU, like new metal. I mean, old Doom happened during the age of new metal, so why not? Anyway, it's never been quite as extreme or as effective as it is in Doom: The Dark Ages. It's possible, either through planning or dumb luck, to blow off both arms on certain monsters, which makes them just stand there. They can't do anything anymore, and they have no means of attacking, so they just give up and kind of stare at you, just waiting for death. It's a pretty uncanny sight, seeing a Mancubus or a Hell Knight standing stock still, just staring at you. But that's just what happens when you blow their arms off. I mean, what else are they gonna do? I guess they could kick you, but like, compared to everything else they do in the game, that's kind of... I understand why they don't kick at you. It's not really gonna... I mean, you're the Doomslayer, right? So pretty much they can't do anything. They just sit there, and it's kind of pathetic, but it's also pretty funny. I mean, they're demons from hell. It's kind of fine to laugh at their suffering, right? At number 9, enemies never explode red barrels. In most games, standing next to bright red barrels is not a good idea, but in Doom: The Dark Ages, it's 100% safe. No matter what happens, enemies will never, ever actually set off an explosive barrel. It never happens. You can be standing literally right next to one, getting pelted by enemy fire and projectiles of all types, and it doesn't matter. Those red barrels, completely unaffected. It looks real silly when you focus on it, but it is a nice feature because these things are extremely damaging, so whether it's to the enemy or especially to you, they just shred through, there's some word that I'm trying to say, shred through the Slayer's health, even if you're standing pretty far away. Red barrels can and will F you up. I mean, that's a gaming thing, you know that. But this game's at least a little forgiving with them. They never go off unless you choose for them to go off, which is, of course, it's still very easy to set them off by mistake. But you can rest easy knowing you can stand right next to them watching projectiles literally hit them, and they will not explode if those projectiles come from enemies. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice gesture. Thanks, id. And number 8, there is free slow-mo for days. Whether you need to precisely aim, catch a breather in the middle of a tough fight, or just want to make combat look super cinematic for a YouTube video or whatever, slow-mo's your friend, and there are many ways to pull it off in Doom: The Dark Ages. The game slows down when you open up the weapon wheel, when you hold down the shield throw button, and even certain guns like the Impaler have upgrades that allow for limited slow-mo to assist with aiming. It's all pretty handy stuff, but by far the most useful is the shield throw one. It's good at its intended purpose, you know, making it easier to hit specific targets when you're throwing the shield, but there's nothing stopping you from also using your gun while holding down L1 to throw, effectively turning this button into a free slowdown power you can use anytime for targeted shooting or just to look cool. The Impaler upgrade may last a little longer, but the shield one is free real estate. It's more free than those government grants question mark suit guys always hyped about. Plus, it recharges as quickly as just throwing the shield again, and it doesn't limit you to a specific weapon, so it's better than... I mean, it's better in pretty much almost every way, right? Any way that matters, at least. Sure, you don't exactly need to slow things down all the time. I know players who would prefer to just turn all this stuff off, but I think it's a lot of fun to just screw around. And number 7 is endless ground pounds. If you're playing this game at all, you know that when you fall down on enemies, they all die. The existence of a ground pound isn't going to be something you don't know about, because the game is constantly showing it off by putting a convenient group of fodder enemies at the bottom of any particularly long fall. What you may not realize is just how easy it is to trigger. The game makes it look like you have to fall down some great height to cause a damaging shockwave when you land, but you really don't. It's actually a lot easier to do than is obvious. Climb up one step, like on these ledges, and anytime you fall down, it's a ground pound. Does high damage to anything nearby. You don't even have to be that high up. You could be on a literal hill, a slightly raised incline, and that's enough to trigger a ground pound. It's shockingly easy to do. It's not necessarily something you should rely on. There's so many faster and better ways to do a lot of damage to a lot of the enemies in the Dark Ages. I mean, you have literal guns, but there's just something funny about butt slamming the ground like you're a souped up Super Mario. It's unexpected just how forgiving the game is pulling these things off more than anything. It's crazy. And number 6, find some leftover glory kills. Here's one thing that's really easy to miss, and the game never really tells you about it. There's still some classic glory kills there. Players may be lamenting the loss of the traditional glory kills from Doom 2016 or Eternal, but they're really not entirely gone. They just require a little extra work to pull off, but once you unlock the shield saw, you can stun an enemy and then jump before grabbing them. Depending on the enemy, this will trigger a visceral animation where you can saw the monster in half. It's the closest thing to one of the old glory kills outside of the occasional boss and leader class enemy kill, and it goes completely undocumented in the game. You can also trigger these animations with a shield slam, but I mean, the results are the same. It doesn't really matter either way. I mean, the end result's the same, so I mean, it's kind of whatever. And number 5, you can turn the game up to 150 speed. Now, there's some pretty whacked out options to play around with in the Dark Ages, and you can adjust the experience to your liking, but probably the most deranged is the game speed option that lets you either slow down or speed up the game to your liking. Don't like how the game feels slower compared to Doom Eternal? Well, just crank up the game to be 50% faster. Also, by the way, completely unnecessary and insanely fast for a game like this, but it's funny to watch if nothing else. If you're feeling particularly masochistic, though, you can set the game's difficulty all the way to Nightmare and then crank up the game speed to max and see if you can just keep up. You probably can't. The thing about game speed is that it doesn't just make enemies move faster, it makes everything faster, and yes, that includes dialogue, so with the speed cranked all the way up, you're just not gonna hear or understand what anyone's saying. It's literally like you're playing the game on fast forward, and it's also way faster than Doom Eternal. If you want the speed to better match that game, you're looking at about 120, 130 speed max. 150 is way too fast, and honestly, the game is unplayably speedy for any normal player. I start to wonder if you are the one, if you're literally Neo, if you can do 150 speed. But still, these are options that make games interesting, and I'm all for them being here, even though the actual utility is, let's say, questionable. And number 4, there is a skeleton with a cape. I bet you didn't expect this one. Compared to Doom Eternal's abundance of Easter eggs, the Dark Ages plays things a little straighter. There's not so much weird, goofy stuff all over the place like in that game. If you want any Easter egg, you have to look for them. And when you do find them, though, I will say, they're still weird. Like this one is exactly what it sounds like. It's a skeleton with a blue cape. You can find it in Mission 4 in the big barracks area with all the locked up passageways. If you shield pull yourself up to a ledge containing a secret, you can find this guy just chilling out in the dark behind one of the locked gates. He's pretty hard to notice on default brightness, but if you crank it up and shoot it, with a gun, because that illuminates it, you can see it in all its glory. I have no idea what it's supposed to be or why it's here, but I don't care either. It's an Easter egg. It's not supposed to make sense, or it doesn't have to, rather. It's just the level designers having a little fun. Is it supposed to be the Duke guy, like the Revenant meme they lean into in Doom Eternal, or is it just a skeleton with a blue cape, and you're not supposed to question it? I don't know. It's probably some in-joke that's lost on all of us rubes. At number 3, destroy everything. One of the most satisfying things about the Dark Ages is how destructible the environment is. The Doomslayer may be the ultimate weapon, but he's also a cat on steroids, just knocking everything down he sees and making a mess of things everywhere he goes. This is true on foot. It's kind of incredible when you really start to pay attention. Just knocking over Iron Maidens and smashing through carts and detritus. Just because you can, creating, a whirlwind of physic objects just because. But it's especially true when you get to pilot a mech. Wow, there's plenty of the usual stopping, punchy with the big monsters, all that. It's there, but when they give you a gun, you can really clean house, not just with monsters, but with everything. It's all destructible, even stuff you really have to go out of your way to destroy, and it's all real satisfying. It's hard not to just stand around and shoot everything you see at this point because it all just crumbles. It's an amazing bit, but man, the extra effort that a lot of players probably aren't going to notice or barely notice, I love it. I love me some destructible environmental stuff. Give me Doom Bonanza. At number 2, you can use the Doom Guy's classic portrait. Buried deep in the options menu is something incredible. There is an option to either turn off the Doom Guy's face, turn on the default glowy blue portrait, or switch to the original classic portrait, from the original games. Just look at that mug. Best thing about it is it functions exactly like in the original game, with all the animations exactly like they were as far as I can tell. The eyes look around just like in the OG. All the pain states are there and the damage states, depending on your health levels. It's all there just like the original. It's one of those things that's completely pointless and very easy to miss, but I'm grateful it's there because, who can say no to that face, right? And finally, at number 1, find an old school developer Easter egg. Speaking of faces, there is a classic developer inserts themselves into a game Easter egg right at the start that's super easy to miss unless you're really looking for it. Just progress through the first stage until you reach the area where there's a melee weapon tutorial. It's the part that looks like a narrow alleyway and leads to a burning pub. Just outside the entrance, there's some wanted posters, and yeah, that's definitely Hugo Martin, the game's director and head writer. He's right there in a pirate getup. He's not the only one slapped on a wanted poster. There's a few other pictures nearby who are also developers at id. Like, they're way too realistic not to be some id guys, right? Is one of them Marty Stratton, the executive producer at ID Software? I'm not actually sure, and I don't know who the other guy is. I managed to find a team photo from 2014. I see Hugo in the right corner there. Maybe these two other guys are somewhere in this picture, but I can't really identify them. Let me know if you recognize any of these people in the comments. They deserve proper recognition for their efforts, or alternatively, they deserve to be caught for their crimes. Wanted posters. It's just about the most common way to insert developers into a game. Just slap them on a wanted poster. So many FPS games have pulled this same trick, but in 2025, it comes off more as an homage than anything else. Modern games rarely take the time to have a little dumb fun like this, but it's appreciated when they do. What do you think? Leave us a comment, let us know. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter and book me on Cameo at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.